Regional Cybersecurity Training Center opens in Singapore. A new Regional Cybersecurity Training Center opened earlier this month in Singapore. It will see Asian member states work together to conduct research, share knowledge, and train to respond to cyber threats. Located in the city center, the Asian Singapore Cybersecurity Center of Excellence (ASCCE) has 2 training labs and other conference rooms and amenities to facilitate capacity building efforts. Feds gives rebel a taste of their own medicine. According to a report by Reuters, the American government has successfully infiltrated the hacking group REvil. The entity behind ransomware attacks, REvil's been linked to Apple leaks, attacks on enterprise software vendors, and more. The group's dark web blog, which exposed information that was gathered from their target, is also reportedly offline. It was believed the blog was hacked due to a forum post made by one of the group's suspected leaders stating that its server was compromised and people were looking for him. Hackers force UK Tesco to go offline. United Kingdom's chain of Tesco supermarkets was forced to go offline on Saturday as their website and application were hacked by cybercriminals. It was estimated that the closure had cost £20 million a day in lost revenue for Tesco. The online shopping service was not restored until late on 24th October. Although details of the source of the problem have yet to be disclosed, it is confirmed by a spokesperson from Tesco that the outage was not caused by a ransomware attack. LGMS plans Ace Market flotation. The Edge reported independent professional cybersecurity services provider LGMS Berhad is seeking a listing on the Ace market to raise funds for its business expansion and working capital. According to its draft initial public offering prospectus posted on the Securities Commission Malaysia's website, 91.39 million new shares will be issued under the public issue. Through its subsidiaries and associate company, LGMS is involved in cybersecurity assessment, penetration testing, cyber risk management and compliance, amongst others. Vietnam launches bug bounty program. The Ministry of Information and Communications of Vietnam has rolled out a bug bounty program to detect security holes and vulnerabilities on national digital platforms. Under the annual bug bounty program, the ministry will announce a list of top 50 experts who have made significant contributions to the detection of security holes on the Vietnam Information Security Day, which is held in November. The top 3 cybersecurity experts will receive awards and certificates of merit from the ministry. Tougher punishment for cyberbullies. Japan's Justice Ministry said a plan to introduce prison term of up to 1 year and raise the fine up to 300,000 yen as part of the tougher penalties for online insults in Japan. The plan was approved by an advisory panel amidst a growing need to tackle cyberbullying. Recent high-profile cases such as the death of Hani Kimura, the wrestler who committed suicide due to the online abuse, raises concern whether the current punishment is enough. The current penalty against insult is detention for less than 30 days or a fine of less than 10,000 yen. To find out more news on cybersecurity, you can log on to our screen.
Welcome to Focus Interview again. Together with me today is Mr. Goh Chi Ho. He is the Managing Director of Trend Micro Malaysia and nascent countries. Mr. Goh has been many years in Trend Micro, and let's talk to him. And Mr. Goh, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me to have a chat on how to building a resilient cybersecurity strategy to deal with modern ransomware. I would like to take this opportunity to wish the audience stay safe, stay healthy. Now more, I believe a lot of people locked down for a couple of months.
Can you tell us a little bit more about Trend Micro then and now?
Yeah, Trend Micro have been evolved as a typical antivirus software company today to become a giant content security company. I still remember when I joined Trend Micro, globally only got a handful malware. It talked about taking a couple of months or even years to penetrate the whole world because we talk about using 3.5-inch floppy disks. Today is different. Today, digital have been evolved significantly. From standalone PC to networking, messaging, internet, people who know long enough, Y2K, virtualization, cloud, and today we talk about IoT and so on. So with this kind of digital rapid digital transformation, as a company like us, we need to evolve. For typical antivirus software company, we build a solution to provide end-to-end content security, moving into network layer and also cloud. Today, we're talking about a capability to provide a customer with detect and respond capability. Before, I believe you might visit our closer research lab, which is called Trend Lab, which is in Philippines. Today, they still be one of our largest regional support center and also threat research capability that provide consumer enterprise support and also threat research capability.
Mr. Goh, my question to you regarding ransomware, how do you see the comparison between the old ransomware style, modus operandi, if you want to say it, and with the modern and the latest trendy ransomware attack?
Okay, let me give a quick overview about traditional ransomware versus modern ransomware. Traditional ransomware is the objective to go with mass, they move one to many, but they're less effective. What they do is a very simple technique. They send you a phishing email with either URL attachment, URL or file attachment. They lead you to click the URL attachment. Eventually, the ransom, you click your file, they create a pop-up or ransom note and demand for payment. This is the traditional ransomware. Very simple approach. But modern ransomware is very complex, very difficult to deal with. They are very highly targeted and they create multiple damages. At the same time, the technique that they use is highly effective and also blended attack. Let me share with you what I mean is highly targeted. They're specific, they know exactly what are the country they want to target, what are the industry or user they want to approach, and what are the infra and the network information that's critical for them they want to steal. So eventually they do a lot of research before the launching a campaign for attack. Instead of just doing very plain ransomware damages, they still do ransomware damages, encrypt the file, asking for payment. They also eventually lead to a data lake. They keep a copy on the encrypted file and store in the cloud. They lead to a data lake. Besides data lake, we also see a new trend, the triple damages called deny attack services, especially for the critical infrastructure and government. If you do not pay the ransom, they might threaten you, hey, I might doing a DDoS attack, deny services to bring the whole infrastructure. Or the worst one, if they find the stolen database victim is useful, they're launching another campaign to attack the victim. So this is the damages that they do. Let's take a look at technique. Technique they're still using the phishing email, URL and attachment, but today they've blended a lot of vulnerability. Vulnerability is the most difficult for organization to deal with. Because an organization, we have a lot of various operating systems, various applications. They always tend to have challenges to keep up all these kind of patches. So modern ransomware capitalize those vulnerability to launching an attack. In terms of behavior that they do, they put it into a very silent, low profile silence, keep it as long as possible, keep navigate. When you discover them, they'll self-destroy. So this is the behavior of a modern ransomware. At the same time, I would like to give you an example. A name to associate your modern ransomware. Some of the hot names that people talk about lately, talk about Cassia. So the hacker is very smart. As I mentioned, they do an intensive study. They know they want to study the whole supply chain of this software. They know Cassia is a management tool whereby you have a service provider that manages hundreds or thousands of customers. So instead of penetrate to the customer, they use Cassia vulnerability to penetrate into those service providers, eventually manage thousands of customers. So which means when they get hold of the service provider, eventually they can have a ransom into those customers. They create a major impact. So this is one of the examples. An example is Ep11. A lot of people say, what is Ep11? Lately, Trump doing a research paper just cover about Ep11. Ep11 is so-called a Chinese hacker group that started active in 2012, about 9 years back. What we observed, the primary target about 4 major industries: video gamer industry, telco, high-tech, and healthcare, cut across 14 countries. Sad to say, Malaysia is one of the countries they targeted. What they do, what is damages that they do? They are like an espionage material, doing a spyware. They have a spyware capability. They also do source code stealing, especially those video game developers. They steal source code. Of course, they do crypto mining. They manipulate virtual currency. This is what the damage that they do. They also do ransomware. So they do multiple damage. Ep11, what a classic example, they do multiple damages. And the technique that they use, I give an example, they can stay in the environment for years and do hundreds or thousands of damages in the system. And the tool that they use is more than 100 or 150 unique malware sample entering to the organization. So this is a two classic example of a modern ransomware and how destructive is today modern ransomware.
Can you estimate how many organizations around the world that is affected by this new ransomware or modern ransomware in your database in general? And then how many?
Let me give you a hot report that we just released a couple of weeks ago, which is our global threat research first half threat roundup. We detected about 7.3 million unique ransomware globally, and we also have some preliminary statistics for Malaysia. In Malaysia, first 4 months we detect more than 20,000 unique ransomware, and the ransomware is the primary target in 4 industries, which is government, healthcare, manufacturing, and BFSI. Last year, government is the top ranking. This year, the shift into BFSI. And we see first half like 1,000% increase in terms of BFSI attack. And most of this attack is due toward modern ransomware, which is very destructive and highly crafted attack. So this is how scary today the world. I believe some of the attack is due to the new norm of the COVID pandemic. Ransomware they cut through the whole globe globally. The majority is based on statistics, almost any country there are organizations impacted by ransomware. But campaign is different. For example, a group of modern ransomware, as I mentioned, Ep11, they're highly skilled, very highly targeted. For Ep11, they cut through 14 countries. They focus 14 countries and deploy a complicated blended attack to compromise these 14 countries. We primarily focus on 4 industries: video gamer, telco, high-tech, and healthcare. This is Ep11. But general ransomware, they cut through all countries and all organizations. Unless they have a very specific Ep campaign, they're very highly targeted in specific industry, specific country.
It's interesting, scary too. Is Ep11 is political? Is it political in nature? Because the name is like cyber espionage campaign. So is it really a political attack?
To be honest, I'm not in a position to comment, but they do have some motive to do a spying. Spy can be many reasons. Can be political motive, or maybe they do some keylogger to see what are those password credentials that they're using. They can have money motive also. So they might serve a multi-purpose objective. Some people might ask, hey, go based on the report, why suddenly modern ransomware it pop up significant? Maybe I'll take this opportunity to share with you what's driving this modern ransomware. I foresee due to a COVID pandemic situation, it accelerates digital transformation to stay competitive or even surviving. But having said that, the way of user consume information has been changed significant. That leads to major revamp of the infrastructure to cater the change. Let me give you an example. What I mean, the way user consumer, the way it changed, that's the information. Assume I'm a HR department. I used to work in an office, giving the devices with a lot of security parameter being put in. to access data center. As and when I go to the internet, I got a strong gateway solution to filter all the in and out traffic. But with COVID pandemic, what does this mean? I suddenly become a remote user, work from home. When remote user work from home, they drive a lot of new devices keep popping into your organization. As you know, today globally having a chip shortage. So lucky if the company fast enough to secure a notebook for me, I got a notebook to work. Otherwise, I might need to use my tablet, my mobile phone, my whole notebook, which means there are a lot of new devices go through VPN or dual authentication access to your network. This first changes. Second changes is that a lot of users is sharing a devices because you know it's a family. I'm a family, I have a kid, my JDs, sometimes they will share computer usage. It's very difficult to put a gray line. So suddenly become multi-user in single devices. This is a new work from home, new norm. At the same time, when you work from home, very difficult to say work life separate in a very clear way. It cannot be done like this. Work life have to be balanced. So which means the devices they use to access corporate information, some user or maybe I might do some very basic surfing internet or some social engineering thing. So it's a fact. So it's changing the way the user consume data and it lead to major revamp about infrastructure. What I mean major revamp? When the work from home user take place, all the parameters, strong parameter gateway solution, the wall being tear down immediately. It doesn't serve much purpose. At the same time, a lot of control being surrendered to the user. So this is the keyword user. User play a very important role to their security. So a lot of security being surrendered to the user. As you know, new norm, a lot of banking, even though hardware store, introduce a lot of new apps to stay competitive and survive. When you want to speed up a new app, what is the effective way to develop? Cloud is calling you. Cloud develop. DevOps is a way to speed up adoption, which means cloud is keep pulling to your organization. At the same time, a lot of new devices, new network access devices are popping up. Whether it's a 5G, whether it's a work from home, whether it's a hotspot, whether you are in an apartment, hacker can put in a fake router, you thought it's a router, then using the router they can scam and phishing all the things that you're doing. This is a new norm driving the entire user behavior change and infrastructure change. Whereby hacker can capitalize this kind of rapid transformation and find the weakest thing to penetrate an organization. So we strongly advise to deal with this new norm. You need to constantly review your technology and people and process approach to deal with all this kind of modern ransomware.
Let's take a break, and when we come back, we will talk more about ransomware with Mr. Goh.
Your job is hard. Managing risk, enabling your business to adapt and innovate securely, defending against the threats of today, every day. It's tough. We know. That's why at Trend Micro, we want to make your life a little easier. We enable your security teams to quickly gain visibility and control across your entire enterprise, wherever your endpoints and devices may be located. And we empower your developers to continuously build secure, ship fast, and run anywhere with the most comprehensive security for cloud and container platforms. And when it comes to threats, we illuminate the dark corners of the landscape for unsurpassed insight into the minds and tools of the cybercriminals. Our goal is to help you go further and do more. Our passionate people, proven technology, and global research share the single goal of helping you to grow a more resilient business. Trend Micro, securing your connected world.
How do we limit ourselves, or organizations limit themselves from the risk of ransomware?
Yeah, this is a big question. They do not have a silver bullet. They're able to cut through all the modern ransomware. It's always depend on technology, people, and process. Let me start with technology. To help people to understand technology, I use home security, resident security as an example, eventually relate into technology. In home, what we have basic lock, which is called prevention system. We have a lock in the door, window, and so on. But somehow, even though we got a lock, the thief can come into the organization without break through the lock. What does this mean? The room. I see a lot of cases the thief can go through a roof. In today's technology called vulnerability. Roof is one of the vulnerability hacker can come in. So fundamental is to prevent a thief to come into the organization and have a lock. But besides lock, today people start to put in those motion detect, infrared. This enhances the detecting capability. in technology called behavior monitoring, machine learning, and so on. So this is a prevention system. But you also see today a lot of residents in the house start to put in video camera, CCTV. What is the objective? They want to make sure as and when a thief breach into their house, they're able to trace what is the thing that is stolen, what is the thing that they do. They're able to record and capture every movement when a thief is able to break into the house. This is important for investigation purpose. But what are the challenges when I talk about CCTV? A common challenge of CCTV, the word called blind spot. I only put CCTV in here, didn't put in there. Blind spot is a common mistake. Second thing is to trace, to investigate CCTV. You can see those police movie. A police officer need to sit down in the room, 24 hours, a few days to read through all the record. It's very time consuming. In reality, technology also later upgraded. Some people they have a law, they have a CCTV. They say, hey, I seldom in the house. I always travel. I always in the work. Why don't I outsource this capability into a person? They have a capability to monitor my security system 24/7 and able to spot any breaches and take action into it. This is you also to SOT, a security operating system, through a physical people. Let me relate this concept back into in IT. So IT same also traditional. You have a prevention system, antivirus software we call to give you protection of desktop, server, network, email, and gateway. And lately, they apply some machine learning, behavior monitoring to strengthen the defense system. The most important thing, all these layers have to be connected. As and when a system or device is our any vulnerability, it inform the other layer. So this is a prevention system. But today, with modern ransomware, you need to be mentally prepared, anticipate. You will get breached. When you get breached, you need to know I have a shorter time frame to detect the breach and able to respond. So you need to expand from prevention capability into detect and respond. Something like putting a video camera. As I mentioned in the past, as I mentioned in the resident, what is the limitation putting video camera? Blind spot. In IT also, a lot of people, when they talk about expanded prevention in detect and respond, they always have a blind spot. They say, oh, whoa, my prevention only focus on endpoint. I said, this is a major blind spot. When the hacker move up on the endpoint, work from home, they enter into the network, what do you see? You see nothing. You cannot have this kind of approach. You need to ensure your CCTV have to be multi-layer, which means the detect response have to be cover endpoint, server, network, messaging, and even cloud. Even expand into OT. Later I'll talk about a bit of OT. OT also another area that hacker easy to use as a breach in the organization due to a lot of legacy machine. So you need to have a technology that cut through endpoint all the way in the cloud and gateway for detect and respond capability. Same also, after you source, after you're able to capture all this kind of activity in multi-layer to prevent blind spot, next thing is how to do investigation. As I mentioned, is you don't want a situation is those incident response teams sitting down in the office spend few days to investigate the damages for few days is significant. You need to make sure it's timely response. So you need to have a technology that have an AI to filter 100 million of incidents into field relevant to you that can take action immediately. So a lot of AI need to apply. So besides collecting data, you need to able to filter those 100 million logs into field that are meaningful to you. Third is those local organizations. They say, oh, I'm highly regulated, I'm a banking, I'm government, I want these type of services running 24/7. You can outsource to some people call SOC, the Great Operating Center, to monitor 24/7 to make sure as and when you get breached, they're able to timely detect and respond. So this is the holistic approach in terms of technology, how to deal with modern ransomware. In Trend Micro, besides technology, I believe people is the weakest link. As I mentioned, we surrender a lot of responsibility to the user. We believe we need to have constant review, the drill about the user knowledge. So we recommend organization deploys a phishing tool to make sure they constantly assess the user knowledge. Based on the report, you customize a training program to the user about the understand about the phishing email, because still one of the major threat source. At the same time, when you work from home, give some good practices about do and don't, how to do dual authentication, how to set the right security policy when you go through social engineering.
There is also insurance, cyber insurance, who are covering this ransom payment. What is your view on this?
Yeah, in traditional ransomware, insurance is good enough to cover. As I mentioned, traditional ransomware only do single damage, which encrypt your file, put up ransom note, and ask for payment. Do their modern ransomware? No, there are multiple damage. First, they're asking for payment ransom. Second, you mentioned data leak. Data leak is a very serious issue. Very, very serious issue that might lead into a court case. Data leak is a very serious issue. What about internet attack services? The launching a DDoS, internet attack services bring the whole infra. Very difficult for you to quantify the direct and indirect losses about those infrastructure being down. What happened? They're launching another campaign to the victim database. Assume you hold a lot of customer credit card information database. They're launching the attack. There's a third-party attack. So very difficult to quantify. Yes, if this is a traditional ransomware, insurance plays a certain role. But modern ransomware, the damage that they do is multi-damage. It's very difficult when they come to second, third, or fourth damages that they do. Very difficult to quantify.
Thank you, Mr. Goh. It was an interesting and enlightening discussion that we have had about ransomware, evolution from old ways, old ransomware into modern ransomware. We talk about APTs, APT41, for instance, and also another one more APT that was mentioned by Mr. Goh. Thank you very much, Mr. Goh from Trend Micro. To end this program, if you have any question, any inquiries, do not hesitate to email us at email address on the screen. Till then, we will meet again next time. Stay safe, stay healthy, and be smart.